Nintendo!
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the NXpress Nintendo Podcast, the official podcast of GoombaStop.com. I'm your host, Cameron Daxon, and joining us we have Campbell Gill.
What's up, everybody?
And also joining us is Marc Kaliroff.
Hello there.
And we have a very special guest today, Jirard the Completionist Khalil. Jirard, say hi.
Hi. What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Hey, yay. For today's show, obviously it's Valentine's Day week. There's, love is in the air. There's a lot going on. We're going to do kind of a Q&A with Gerard coming up here, but we figured we would kick off today's podcast by talking about games you can play with, not necessarily with your significant other, but good multiplayer games to play with, friends, family, lovers, whatever you like. Mark, did you have something in mind to start this off with?
So I had two recommendations, which the first one I have spoken very highly on this show about, which is Part-Time UFO. That's the older one I thought I'd give a quick shout out to, because the new version on Switch has a multiplayer functionality, which is really good if you haven't played it. And then the other one I wanted to talk about, we talked about last week, or rather Campbell did, which is Haven.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Those are both supposedly very good games. I have not played either of them, but based on Campbell's review of Haven and Mark, your review of Part-Time UFO, I trust that they are good. Gerard, have you touched either of those?
I have not. No, I've. It's been. I always joke that I'm too busy playing video games. I'm too busy playing video games. So I tend to miss a lot more titles than people think I do. So definitely haven't played either of those.
Nice. Well, Mark, why don't you give the quick summary for those of us who might have missed those couple games?
So Part-Time UFO, it's made by HAL Laboratories, same creators of Kirby and Box Boy, but you play as a part-time UFO who crashes into Earth and is looking for work. And what you do is you pick stuff up and you put it down in a separate area, and it's like a time attack type game, and that's it. It's extremely simplistic, but everything about it just works really well.
Nice. It sounds very soothing, just the way you talk about it. I mean, I know that. Yeah. HAL
Just the
Laboratories.
music and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you enjoy multiplayer Kirby games and HAL Laboratories' other work, then you're bound to really enjoy it.
Well, there you go. And Haven was made by the same group that did Fury, but it's kind of more of an RPG exploration type of title, something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a lot more exploration and stuff, but it does have the two-player functionality, which I did test around a little with, and Campbell was right. It works. I didn't expect it to work as good as it did, but it's surprisingly really well, and I'd recommend it, especially because of the story for, Valentine's Day type week, especially if you want to play that with a significant other. Yeah.
It is a disgustingly sappy game.
What's the name of the game again?
Haven.
Yeah.
Haven. Oh my God, I think I know this game actually quite well.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Quite well.
Yeah. Well, ish. 'Cause you said, yo, I know Haven. Yes, of course. I have an event called Indie Land where every year we raise money for charity. And I just played this game a couple of months ago. I thought you said Hayden, like Haden. That's why I was like, I never heard of it. But yes, I have played Haven. Haven is a wonderful game. It's very beautiful, very pretty, very fluid. If there's one thing I can say, it's very fluid. The gameplay is very smooth.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to.
I was gonna say I love how the way the characters move in it, especially how you can do the drifting or the side to side pullbacks. There's all sorts of just maneuvers to pull off, which makes things easier considering how big the world is, especially like towards the opening, there's definitely more exploration than fighting.
It's one of those rare games where just a simple act of movement is really fun. You know, just exploring the environment, flowing around it, catching a nice little trail of flow and soaring into the sky. It's a really just kind of soothing, laid back, smooth experience. And it's really nice, especially how it can complement that with just a really sappy, sweet story that is indeed perfect for Valentine's. The characters are really well written to the point where they're disgustingly in love, but it doesn't feel annoying or anything. It feels like kind of sweet and genuine, which isn't really something you see in a lot of relationships portrayed in video games. So it's really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Campbell, what's your pick, man?
You know, Mark stole my pick, which was Haven. That is absolutely a game that I would recommend for anybody playing games with their significant other on Valentine's. I have not had the chance to play that game with my girlfriend. She lives hours away from me, so I had to play it with my brother, which is not the ideal experience for that kind of game. But, you know, I think I'm going to be a little kind of boring pick here, but this is still something I do enjoy playing with my girlfriend whenever we get the chance, and that's Smash Bros. Ultimate.
There you go.
It's really fun because
I've never heard of this game.
I know, right? I mean, I'm sure our Nintendo fan listeners will be like really excited to learn about this niche indie game, but it is a really fun one to play with your significant others, whether they are good at the game or not. In my case, it is a really fun kind of way to just test your skills against each other, and just kind of it's a fun activity that it can maybe show a more competitive side of your partner that you might not get otherwise, you know. So it's something that I've really enjoyed in the past for dates and whatnot. So yeah, that's the one that I typically turn to. You know, I know it's a very romantic kind of game, but yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be. I think that's a great choice. Yeah.
Yeah, playing games doesn't necessarily correlate to romance. You know, as long as you're having a good time with your partner, then that's all that really matters.
100%. 100%. Yeah, my wife and I we've been playing a lot of like kind of adventure-y games when we play games together. Just because Ariel's not like, she's not great on the sticks. You know what I mean? Like the holding a controller is kind of foreign to her. So whenever we play a game, it's got to be something kind of on the slower pace side. So we really enjoyed Return of the Obra Dinn, Paradise Killer, kind of like weird mystery games is kind of our niche. So that's what we've been playing. Although I was going to suggest this weekend, maybe we can try to pick up that DLC for Untitled Goose Game finally. The 2-player
it's
mode.
really good.
Is it good? I still haven't messed around with it.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, Gerard, did you ever mess around with the 2-player for Goose Game?
I did not. No, I didn't even realize that it was already out.
Yeah. I think it came out like last fall. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been out. No, I think. Wait, was it the summer?
Well, I don't know.
A while ago.
It came out a little while ago, but I feel like I missed it. I kind of slept on that. So yeah, maybe I'll boot that up this weekend. That might be fun to kind of unwind as a 2-player Goose situation. Gerard, what about you? You got anything you unwind with your partner?
What have we been playing lately? Well, for a while we were playing Borderlands 2 together because we really liked Borderlands 1. So,
nice.
I never finished Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is the game that I've like started and stopped probably more than I can count at this point. But yeah, we've been slowly playing through that, and she really loves Red Dead Redemption 2. So whenever I'm downstairs with her, I'll be working on my computer or something, and she's sitting here being a cowboy. She loves being a cowboy. For months, she was just distraught with Arthur Morgan as a character. She's like, I love him so much. I wish he was real. So that was kind of what's going on in our home. And Reddit's been out for at least 2 years now.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So
has she finished that game?
Oh yes, and she's now playing the online with some friends. So she's.
Oh, has she played the original?
No, she hasn't. It's funny because I have played the original and I have not played Red Dead 2 yet. So to hear her perspective, and she got. I know that like when you get to the end of Red Dead 2, you switch characters, and when she switched characters, I was like, oh hey, I know that guy. Oh. Yeah, it's definitely Red Dead 2 is definitely on at our house all the time.
That's awesome. It kind of goes to what you just said of like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a multiplayer game, like for the both of you to still engage with the game. You know what I mean? Like I do that all the time. Where like I'll be playing a game, or Ariel will be working next to me, but we can still kind of like engage with what's happening on screen. Like I don't know, it's kind of a fun way to enjoy a video game, I think. So obviously not every game has to be romance related just to enjoy it with your partner. I think these are some solid picks to kind of kick things off for Valentine's Day weekend. Anything else we want to throw in before we take a quick break and move on to the main event?
Animal Crossing. Get those
Animal
Valentine's
Crossing,
Day
course.
items. Yep.
Oh,
Get them
yeah.
while they're in. I think you have 3 or 4 more days to purchase them.
Nice. Well, there you go. Yeah, again, I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, but if you do participate in those timed events, you better get in on that. Gerard, I know you're not an Animal Crossing guy.
Definitely not. No, I do not care about Animal Crossing. I am a man with a black heart. I hate cute things, and Animal Crossing is one of them. So there you go.
You heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first.
Meanwhile, me with over 1,000 hours logged.
I can't fathom that, man. No offense, but
So good.
Oh my God.
It's literally like one of those games, It's like, it's your comfort food. You just go in every day and you take care of your town.
But that just
Well, there
sounds
you
so
go.
like monotonous whenever I hear about it, and my and like my girlfriend absolutely loves the game. It would probably be a wonderful Valentine's Day gift to her if I were to get into it, but I have standards and I'm not gonna get into that at this point.
Wow. Yeah, brutal.
It's
Absolutely
only
brutal.
it's only the second highest selling game on Switch,
Professionals have standards.
Oh my God. Well, before this devolves into a virtual fist fight, I think we should take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a little Q&A with the Completionist. So yeah, we'll be right back. And we're back. So we were just talking about how Gerard and I went to school together 100 years ago, and so now we're kind of in the thick of it. And Mark, why don't you fire off your first question, my friend? Go for it.
Yeah. So getting this started, Gerard. So you've been on YouTube now for almost 10 years, which congratulations, because decade milestone.
Thank
so
you.
I wanted to know, you have practically witnessed and have been embedded into the whole rise of YouTube. There's no denying that the platform has drastically changed from when you got there to today, which, I mean, even your channel, just looking at the first few videos versus now, it's obviously a huge leap forward. But what I wanted to know was, how are you ensuring, in a time where YouTube is starting to be conquered by, you have Let's Plays and these funny montage moment compilations of all these people who are recording themselves playing games, how are you ensuring that the Completionist will stay in business for the next decade?
Holy crap! What an incredible question.
That's what I'm telling you, man.
Let me go grab my binder of finances real quick and show you my taxes from 2020. Yeah, I mean, so I think the truth be told, financially, the Completionist has always operated at a loss from day one. To this day, it operates at a loss. We do not make money as a company, and the reason why that is because my channel and the business was not. My goal was never to get on YouTube. I wasn't trying to become a YouTuber or an influencer. That wasn't a thing back when I started doing content online. My goal was to make. The reason why I'm called That One Video Gamer is because the original channel name that I had was That One Video Website, because my goal was to create a successful YouTube channel, go to venture capitalists, and create a competitor to YouTube. That was always my goal, was to create a website that would allow influencers to grow and make money online, because back in my day, there was no partner program. There was no way to make money on YouTube. And so, that was always my intention. And here I am 10 years later, and I'm still not making enough money for the team and for the company. Now, does that mean we're poor? No, we're doing just fine. But there's 20 people that work on all the content across the board. Half of them are freelancers, and it's a situation where when we're faced with an ever-changing landscape, it's so difficult to even fathom how to keep up. It's imagine you're on a treadmill, and that treadmill every 6 months suddenly turns into a different treadmill, different model, different levels, different layers, and then you have a handicap as well. You have and by the way, you now have no socks, and now you have no shoes, and now you have no shirt, and now your shirt's too small, and now your shirt's too big. It's a constant process that is challenging us each and every day. And so in 2019, the top of 2019, I kind of brought the team together and I said, look, this business is probably going to go away someday. Not because I want to, not because we're bad at our jobs, but because YouTube is the fate of YouTube is determined by the users and the influencers that use it. And so if the influencers at large decide that they don't like this thing anymore, then the users will also feel the same way. Whether or not the users are cognitive of this, it doesn't matter. That's what the platform is designed for. And you see that with the trends every day. Minecraft was dead 3 years ago, you guys. No one was playing Minecraft. And then one day PewDiePie woke up and said, I'm playing Minecraft again. And then Minecraft came back. That's literally a thing that happened. An influencer said, I want to play Minecraft again. And everyone said, oh yeah, I love Minecraft. And suddenly it came back in a big way. And now it's the #1 game again on YouTube. That's a thing that happened. That's the power of YouTube. It's an emboldening, it's a wonderful process, but it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, right? And so in my time, I've seen the rise and fall of several channels. And we've always been the little engine that could, just kind of slowly climbing this hill. And now people think I'm a massive creator, but if you look at our numbers and you see our process, you see our workflow, not a lot has changed. We're still doing the same type of content. We're trying to revolutionize as much as we can, but the income isn't skyrocketing. The opportunities aren't blowing up as people think it is. It's just that we are committed to making the best version of the craft that we have. So if everyone is doing highlight streams and reaction videos and drama pieces on other people, then there has to be a pool of content creators that are still sticking to what their bread and butter is. And in this case, for us, it's creating this show about a man going crazy, completing a game a week every week for 10 years, and how that narrative is impacted and how it changes. So it's. I mean, I don't think I even answered your question properly, but it's.
No, I think you did a good job.
There's not a concrete way to know if we'll be here tomorrow. All we can do as a team is go, let's just keep making the best thing we do. And if we turn the lights off, we turn the lights off. But, we'll go down swinging knowing that we put our blood, sweat, and tears to stand out versus everyone else. Because, there are dozens of creators each and every day that are thriving and succeeding, and dozens that are disappearing off the platform without a trace to their name. So it's a weird time. True. It's a very weird time. And What's worse is that there's this nostalgia factor attached to it, right? I saw a couple weeks ago on Twitter that someone posted a photo thumbnail of like 15 gaming creators, right? And the prompt was like, you have $120 to visit these content creators. Which ones would you do? And all of the content creators were ranked by dollar amount. And
That's brutal.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Jeez.
I was ranked $20. I was at the bottom of the barrel, and all the Twitter comments were like, I wouldn't see Completionist. I'll spend the money on Scott the Woz or whatever. And it just goes to show that like people think of me as old hat, as nostalgia, as that's the old guy. Like I want the funny guys around, and it's like, well, that's fine, but someone's got to be here steering the ship as tried and true as they can, the way that I know how to. And I think the reason why we're still around is because the audience that we do have is very invested in the success of what we're doing, and that to me means the world. That's how we're surviving, is that we have this very passionate fan base that refuses to give up on us because I refuse to give up on them.
Well said.
That's good answer.
Thank you. Sorry, it was like a million.
No, dude.
No.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
So we're a podcast for a reason. We go
We-
sometimes an hour, sometimes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Game of the Year
I love
show. That was something. But
That was indeed, yeah.
but it's also, I mean, we're also amongst a pandemic, which none of us have ever faced in our lifetimes. Mm-hmm. And I guess I want to bring this up because I think this was about a month ago. You went on Twitter and you were talking about how you were bored and you platinumed like 7 simple games in like a day. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. I hysterically laughed at the first tweet. And then once I got to tweet 7, I was like, okay, maybe this is actually like, maybe I shouldn't be laughing. Like, I wasn't sure what the tone was supposed to be.
Okay.
I was thinking to myself, like, this is like a spiral of madness. Like, the 10,000 clicks to get a platinum for a Mayo game. I was like, this is pure insanity. And I guess my question out of all this is it insanity, or is it like, are you like, how are you doing?
Okay is what we're asking, man.
How are you doing through this pandemic? Are you getting more work done? Are you getting less work done? Is stuff like 7 platinums in one day through clicking a can of Mayo 10,000 times? Is that the daily norm now?
Dude, that's such a hard thing to pinpoint. As someone as quote unquote famous, and you can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes for you listeners at home. Someone as famous as I am, as an influencer, I spend a lot of time alone. My team that we work on stuff together, we're always so busy that at the end of the day, I don't really communicate to any of them. And so all I have is my partner, Amanda, and she is one of the top designers over at IGN. So she's working all the time, and she's exhausted. She just wants to play games, and I've been playing games all day. So I don't want to play games anymore because that's all I ever do. And I'll just sit around and contemplate everything that's going on. And the pandemic has made that so much worse because I have so many bigger dreams than just being a YouTuber or an influencer, and I can't make any strides towards enhancing those dreams. I just have to sit there and embrace the monotony of not having those abilities to strive for my goals. So, the creative person in me is like, oh, I'll learn how to cook. I'll learn how to draw. I'll learn how to build a birdhouse, right? That's like someone with that creative energy wants to do that. But I've just spent creative energy recording 3 or 4 hours of Let's Play with the Beard Bros, recording 2 hours of voiceovers for this week's episode of The Completionist, 2 hours of New Game Plus for voiceovers, I did a live stream on Twitch. I did an Instagram Q&A. I went on Twitter and doom scrolled for hours. Like I did all these things, and I don't have energy to cook, to think how I feel, and so and I'm not playing games with my friends because we're all experiencing the same thing. So all I really have is the internet, which is, you think, is vast and endless, but it's also kind of sad because
It is.
the internet's about connectivity, and here I am going, I don't want to connect with anyone. So, within this pandemic, I have just tried really hard to try and find who I am and what I care about. And that's why New Game Plus has been such a positive thing, because those are games that I've loved and have grown up with, and that's kind of where I see moments of normal behavior. But when I started doing that thread about easy PlayStation games, it was funny because it was some of the most popular tweets I've made in the last 18 months, and it was just like my journey of, I completed this game. It's about clicking on a jar of mayo. I completed a game where you're a fox and you attack things. I completed a game where you have to run across a highway and not get hit by a car. Like, I just was so bored that I just was like, and I had my PS5. I just said, what can I do really quickly? And so I just searched, and 5 hours later, I had 9 new platinums. And the crazy thing is that it really inspired me to make a new show based off of that. But then I realized that that's a lot of work, and I'm already doing a lot of work. And all I do is work, and so it's kind of hard to feel like whatever you're working on has a definitive end goal in mind. Because this is a creative industry, right? Everyone's consuming content all the time. You're reading articles, you're listening to podcasts.
Of course,
you're kind of always on this ingestion train, and it's hard to always be on all the time like that.
Yeah.
Well, would you? I guess.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Cameron. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I totally feel that, Gerard. Like, a lot of us, like, I've got a day job, aside from doing this, and sometimes, you go to work all day, you come home, it's like, all right, time to do the creative thing, and it's just like, it's just not there, and it's you have to like dig up that motivation, and then trying to do the creative thing starts to feel like work again. It's like it feels like a never-ending cycle sometimes, Nothing beyond that. I don't have anything cogent to add other than, like, yeah, shit's hard.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the viewers know this or if you guys know this, but Cameron is one of our main writers on The Completionist, and so he
go on.
He goes to the ringer with me. So it's I work hard to work towards a future. I've been telling Cameron for years. One day, kid, I'm gonna put you on salary and get you health care and take care of you and your wife, and we're gonna live off the fat of the land, George. Like, we're gonna do it all.
Oh no!
And we
Tell me about the rabbits again, Gerard.
This is scary.
Yes, it very much is so. Yes. So but that testament of the hard work and the push for creativity is so difficult, just because the value isn't there. Like, to see that, to be a quote unquote influencer and to get millions of views a month and hundreds of thousands of clicks a day and thousands of pieces of merchandise sold and that kind of stuff, and then you look at the numbers and you're like, man, this is a glass house. This is gonna fall apart soon. No one. And everyone, but the narrative is like, oh, rich YouTuber on the hill, huh? You're making all this money, inspiring my kids to be a YouTuber. Brr, brr, brr. And it's like, yeah, if I wish I was at that level. The 1% of YouTube is definitely a 1%. The 99% is everything else.
Right.
Yeah. I actually, we talk about this in Nintendo Wire, which I really talk about my experience with Nintendo Wire on the show, which I really love Nintendo Wire, but, we just barely get to mention it. But some, like, websites say, like, we make $6 million a year. Like, no, we do not. Like,
Yeah.
What? So
Yeah, if you look
that's
if
like
you-
a
if-
running joke at, like, the site. It's just like, people think that, just because we're pumping out news pieces every single day and we're doing articles and all this fun stuff and the YouTube channel and working with other content creators, it doesn't mean that like we make a living off any of this. Like everyone at Nintendo Wire works a full-time job. Like we just do this because it's our passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to what is this? Social Blade, I make $395,000 a year, which is so far away from the truth. I wish it was true. I would do anything to make that number true. But it is very far away from that. And honestly, it's based on estimated data, right? It's based on, well, that's what you should be worth. But the reality is, there's not enough
near that.
Yeah, well, look, how I could do a whole podcast about how YouTube works, but there's too many creators, not enough sponsors, not enough ads, and not enough people to offset the cost of all that. So it's, if someone's like, oh, I get 10 million views a month, there are YouTubers out there that get 20 million views a month that out of those 20 million views are monetized maybe 1 million to 3 million views. That's like, what, 90% that they're not making money on? That's a real thing that happens. And those things those factors depend on is their audience using ad blocker? Do they have a Patreon? Are they selling merch? But the biggest one is, does YouTube have enough ad inventory? And the reality is no, they don't. There's too many views or too many videos getting too many views on YouTube for them to have ads on their videos. And it's like, you think about how big YouTube is, and we're talking about the US alone. Imagine Europe, imagine Brazil, imagine India. They do way more numbers than most American YouTubers do.
Oh yeah.
There's just not enough ads to go out there.
Seems unlikely, but they really do. I mean, the top YouTube channel right now, isn't it from India, I believe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which is nuts because, talking about 10 years ago, I feel like YouTube was like mostly Americans, the whole site.
Yeah, and most of that was because of the fact that there was a discrepancy in legality, between DMCA stuff and European and around the world. Just music licensing issues alone are a problem. So, it's crazy. It's a crazy world that people think that everyone just makes money in, and you don't. I'm often stuck in the middle a lot of the time. I have fans that tell me I'm corporate greedy and not taking care of my people when I'm trying my best to, and then I have corporate people telling me that I'm not worth enough money to invest in. So it's like you just end up in the middle, and you're like, okay, well, here's Patreon, here's merch, and everyone's like, you're just one of those e-beggar sellout types.
Oh my God, yeah.
You should go get a real job. Yeah, all right. I'll try.
If I could pivot to a slightly less infuriating topic.
Once again, I am so sorry to all
No.
No,
Listen.
No,
Gerard,
I want
listen.
to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, it's honestly very interesting. So you had mentioned New Game Plus earlier, and talking about like playing games that you've already had a little experience with, and it kind of feels like a comfort thing. No spoilers, I guess, but it's something that the three of us were kind of all curious about was obviously the latest version of Super Mario 3D World is coming out this weekend. I think reviews have dropped today, and I know it's a brand new game, so obviously we don't want to spoil the whole damn thing. But do you want to talk a little bit about? I don't know. I'm assuming you've played a little of that game at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if I can actually. When does this come out?
Comes out Friday.
Friday.
Friday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Embargo
Okay.
lifted today.
Okay, so I think I can.
Listen, you can talk as much or as little as you want, but the meat of the question that Mark actually had thought up was, you've been working with Nintendo for a long time. How's that relationship changed over the years?
Yeah, the reason I asked this was because, sadly in 2015, Satoru Iwata passed away, which was a huge loss for Nintendo. But his fundamental ideas and Nintendo of America's approach to handling the media and public relations, it's obviously drastically changed in the last 5 years, and it's still changing. I mean, how Goomba Stomp operates with Nintendo has been drastically changing over the last few months, which it doesn't seem like it, but in reality, we are.
I mean that I feel complicated about it because the success of my career I owe to Nintendo, intrinsically speaking, from the games they've sent me to the opportunities to trusting me into hosting events and to participating in the Mario Maker 2 Invitational from E3 in 2019.
Yeah,
you know,
Mr. Miyamoto and stuff like that.
Interviewing Mr. Miyamoto twice, once for Star Fox and once for Breath of the Wild, and meeting with Reggie about Breath of the Wild. You know, I've had such a lucky, and fruitful experience with them, but over the years, and this has I have nothing bad to say about the company or working with them, but there definitely is a shift in how things are done, whether it be from promotional opportunities to even embargoes and such. And so, generally speaking, you know, I try my best to maintain a positive relationship with them, and I do, and they've never wronged me in any negative way, but I know that the public stigma is so much larger than any of us know, right? You know, from the Smash Brothers controversy last year with the Melee tournament and you know, years before when it came to DMCAing YouTubers for posting content and videos and such and or music. So it's a catch-22, right? Because we all love Nintendo. We all want Nintendo to succeed. They're the big company that we love and invest our time and care into. And, you know, there's something special about Nintendo. Not to say that Microsoft and Sony aren't special, but there's essence of nostalgia and love and care that we all have. But there is this underlying feeling that certain media press outlets or influencers aren't being heard more than others, or that communication is different. And I think the thing that I would say is that we have to remember that we don't owe companies anything, and they don't owe us anything.
Very true.
And Nintendo is not our best friend. You know, like there isn't a person that represents Nintendo. They are a company. They have stockholders. They have employees. They have budgets. They create a product, and we buy that product, and we consume that product, and we have to remember that. And we can get mad when our best friend doesn't show up for, you know, to dinner, right? Like we can get mad when these things go awry, but we have to remember that they are a corporate company, and we are the consumers, or in this case, prosumers who support them. And you know, it's always like I always find it funny when, you know, it's like hashtag boycott X company here because of their business practices, and it's like, right, but we don't work for that company. We don't know their inner workings. We don't know their secrets. We don't know anything other than damn the man for screwing us over. And it's such a hard place to be as the middle ground influencer or news site, because, you know, you're trying to keep your views up. You're trying to keep your positive engagement and your audience invested in what you're talking about and writing about. And it's hard sometimes when a company doesn't respond to an email or doesn't necessarily seem as invested as they were the year before. But the reality is, someone could have gotten let go of that company. Culture could have changed. New rules could have come out, and we'd have no idea. We have no idea what the communication looks like. We have no idea what that feeling looks like. And so we just kind of have to take the punches with it and decide for ourselves if it's worth that you know, that sometimes one-sided relationship with some companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Once again, I did not answer your question. I'm very sorry.
No. Well, that's the thing. The question was meant to kind of lead into, like, well, how do you feel about all this shit? Campbell, you got anything? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, putting in a positive note, how are you enjoying 3D World?
I love it. 3D World was one of my favorite games on the Wii U. It's one of my favorite Mario games of all time that I feel like no one ever got to play. Now that the Switch is available for everyone, that now that everyone can play it and it has a bigger base, I'm so excited for people to play it. Bowser's Fury is incredible. It's very reminiscent of Mario Odyssey and Mario Sunshine, kind of pushed together with 3D World in a way where it feels like a brand new experience, even though it kind of isn't. In terms of like, Mario Odyssey and what it did a few years ago. So I've been really enjoying it. There's a lot of potential here for Nintendo to go after Bowser's Fury, and I just don't know where they could go, because I thought Mario Odyssey was like the peak, and then Bowser's Fury just kind of shows us that they still got some surprises in them. Still,
yeah, they got juice.
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All of us can't wait to play it.
Yeah, and on that same note, let me jump in here to ask you something about the audience for 3D World, because
Sure.
I have made a bit of a controversy in the Goomba Stomp family for.
Oh,
okay.
I'm a
Oh,
bit
more than a
outspoken
controversy.
on my opinions on 3D World. I don't really like I didn't fall in love with the game as much as Mark or other members of the Goomba Stomp team. So, would you say that 3D World could appeal to people who maybe didn't fall in love with the game on the Wii U, and maybe it with either the updated controls or the increased movement speed, or through Bowser's Fury? Do you think it could appeal to people who maybe didn't exactly like that whole hybrid 3D 2D level design kind of approach that you had there?
I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to do, right? Like, did you want another 3D game like Galaxy or Sunshine, or did you want something like New Mario Brothers U? Because it's essentially what this game is. It's a combination of trying to appeal to two types of fans: the fans that are into the Mario 3D Land aspect of faux 3D with 2D level design concepts and executions, versus New Mario Bros. U, which clearly has been New Mario Bros. Series rather clearly has been the 2D formula for the last decade or so. Me personally, I didn't play 3D World or 3D Land when it first came out. I only got exposed to 3D World, and I walked away grinning ear to ear. I loved the music. I loved the level design. The Mario Kart level is phenomenal. I really didn't like the multiplayer aspect to begin with, just because it's chaotic, and I still don't. I think this is a good multiplayer game from a fun, chaotic perspective, absolutely. But if you're trying to play it with a friend, you're just doing yourself a disservice, more or less, because it's too much chaos. But
I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum on that. I've talked about this so many times on the podcast, but I 100%ed Mario 3D World with 3 friends. So we had 4 of us in one room playing it together, and I thought it was the best multiplayer game I ever played.
Well, let me ask you this though: were you and your 3 friends very familiar with Mario games? Have you guys played?
I wouldn't say that half of us were. I'm super familiar. I've played every single Mario game. I would say maybe 1 or 2 of us weren't as experienced, maybe.
Yeah, but you played the whole game together from start to finish?
Yes.
Okay. So that experience makes sense to me. But most people who play Mario 3D World do not play in that manner. They are playing with family and friends who've never played Mario before. They give them the Wiimote and say good luck, and then it's like,
oh yeah,
what's this button do? Oh my god, I'm a cat. I threw you off a cliff. I'm so sorry. Oh, now you're a bubble. What do I do? It's in most cases you're in your case you're correct, because the people you're playing with are your friends who have played the game, who understand the concept of actual cooperative play. In most cases, when people play 3D World, it's, hey, little brother or sister, take the controller, you're now Peach or Toad, and I'm playing Mario. And in my experience of playing the game, when I did play with friends, it was unpleasant because my friends that I played with weren't the most versed in Mario. And so you have to sit there and go, I have to teach my friend how to play a Mario game? That's chaotic to think about, because do you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, a lot of people who play Mario games don't know, newer people rather, don't know that holding down the run button does something different than just pressing a button to move forward. Like people don't genuinely know that. They don't know to hold, Y or B or A or whatever button it is to move forward. They don't know because it's like, oh, Mario just jumps and throws fireballs and that's what he does. So to have to kind of educate the team around you to do that can be very exhausting when everyone's just trying to have a casual time. Meanwhile, I'm the dude that's like, I'm going to complete this thing. I'm going to get to the end, and we're all going to touch the flagpole at the same time, and watch out for that Goomba. Everyone get your cat suits out. And I kind of became a parent when I played the game because I had to teach everyone not only how to play, but to keep up with me. And it was an exhaustive experience. So, I mean, I agree with you that it is definitely a fun multiplayer experience, but I guess I just don't have enough friends locally in my day-to-day life that would keep up. Although I will say, I have put in about 2 hours of online multiplayer, and it is very good. It is
that's good to hear.
Very, very good. Now, granted, this is in a time where the game... it just came out. So everyone is downloading it as we speak. They're playing it. I'm sure the servers are slammed and everyone's experiencing it in their own way. I had 0 internet problems playing with 4 people, and it was as if we were in the room together, and that was a huge success in my eyes. But that could change next week when, I don't know, at least 10, 20 million Switch users decide to buy the game and start playing it all at once.
Yeah.
It could be dramatically different. So
Nintendo's also using a brand new server for their online games
is that real?
now.
Well, I know they were switching it over, but I didn't know if it was going to be ready in time for 3D World.
That is true. But I know that Monster Hunter Rise is using it, and the demo used it. And we talked about this on the show when Matt was on, but we didn't have like a single internet issue with Monster Hunter. Like, my experience with it was flawless. I didn't have a single problem.
Oh my gosh, if they like retrofit Smash Ultimate to work that way, it's gonna be it'd be
all of us
incredible.
is kind of like all of us got very excited
Because
about that.
I think like they've been using that same multiplayer like platform since like what was it, since the Wii or the GameCube?
No, Phantasy Star Online on GameCube.
Wow.
That's bonkers.
So Nintendo was way ahead of the curve as always then.
As always, yeah.
Technology. Yeah.
Well, when the DS and the Wii came out, the one reason why those support systems got turned off was because they used GameSpy's technology, and GameSpy got bought out and sold. So, with that said, they lost all the internet for their DS and Wii platforms. So it's like they were hoping that a company like GameSpy would be able to operate well, but in the end, it never came to fruition. And that was like the beginning of our knowledge of how Nintendo's online worked. And it's been 10 years since Mario 3D World came out, and it's been 10 years still that we don't have solid internet connection. So the fact that this game has incredible online play, and I can't believe I'm saying that because that just seems crazy. But that was the one of the big takeaways I got from 3D World was that the online play was very good, very stable. It was as if we're all in the room playing together.
I think that's super cool. Hopefully, it means something good for the future.
Yeah.
So I know we're running a little long. Are we doing okay? Just checking in with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm fine.
Gerard, are you good? Sorry, I know we're
I'm
asking a lot
good.
of questions.
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm talking a lot, so
No.
If anything, I'm making it longer.
No. Just making sure you're okay,
point.
man.
Then should I hit you
interview.
with a huge question then?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark, hit it, man.
Okay.
Go for it.
with the hard
So,
stuff.
getting us sort of back on track. Persona 5 Strikers comes out in 2 weeks. And I know you have I know you have a history with Persona 5. I mean, that was a game.
Stop it! You're triggering him.
I'm sorry, but
No, you're fine. Go.
But this was the game where you really connected with your audience and said, what does completing a game really mean? And obviously for you go the extra 20 miles. You don't just run the marathon, you rerun the entire thing for a victory lap, which is commendable.
That's
ridiculous
the,
how much work.
That's the nicest way of saying that I'm crazy. So thank you.
But it really is like, it's especially for a game like Persona 5. I mean, I just platinumed Royal last week, and my playtime was 105 hours, and that's not even counting how many resets I had to do for sometimes. But were you surprised by how the audience just reacted and told you, like, no, man, just get the platinum, and, that's what we call 100%, or, were you not surprised?
It was a huge surprise. I made a video in 2020 just like kind of describing how unhappy I was with the job that I've created, and a lot of that unhappiness stemmed from the amount of time I put into Persona, because I love the game. I wanted to do it right by the people, but everywhere I kept looking, there was this great debate about whether or not getting all the romance items was considered completion or not, because it's a one-time use item. And it's technically a different ending depending on who you get together with. And there's even one where you romance everyone and they all gang up on you in the end. So it's a situation where I was expecting my audience to turn on me, and instead they embraced me. And that episode came out, and it was like the biggest sigh of relief I've felt in quite some time, just to be able to get it off my chest and feel like what I did is done. Which is funny because Strikers is just basically Hyrule Warriors for Persona, and I just finally released my Hyrule Warriors video not too long ago, and that was insane. I did 1,000 hours in Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, 1,000 hours to complete everything in that game. And people are like, so when are you going to do Calamity? When are you going to do Strikers? And it kind of put this thing in my chest that I will never be done completing something. And I wake up sometimes in sweats at night, a cold sweat, like, oh crap, I forgot this collectible, or I forgot this thing, and the internet's going to eat me alive for it. But I think you just have to you have to be okay with being wrong sometimes, and you have to choose when you're right sometimes. You have to be comfortable with picking your battles and sticking to your guns in that way. And Cameron can tell you, in the writer's room, whenever we're talking about certain games and having brainstorm sessions, there's sometimes where nothing gets done because we're all debating what completion criteria means. And we're trying to look into the future 3 weeks from now when the episode comes out, what the audience at large will say and think. And it's always a crapshoot. It never feels good. It only feels good when we've walked away from it and we see the views and the comments afterwards. The first 48 hours of any video is miserable, because you have so much doubt, you have so much fear, and when you're wrong or when you mess up, everyone lets you know. Fan, enemy, doesn't matter. You find out quickly that you messed up, and you have to pivot and handle that fire accordingly. And Persona 5 was a fire that I'm glad that we finally put out, because I never thought it was going to happen. Let alone that I ever think I was going to do both Persona 5 and Hyrule Warriors in the same year, because I did not think it was possible. But we did it, and it was a lot. I guess that's the true answer to your question, right? Is what is completion criteria for a game? Is it getting the platinum, or is it getting the secret ending? Is it both? Is it getting maximum level in an RPG? Is it getting every item in a chest in an RPG? There's not really a rule or a guideline structure of what quantifies completion criteria. And it gets complicated when you start to look at things like online play. Like if I'm playing something like Uncharted 4, right? I unlocked every item in Uncharted 4, which took a long time to do. And no one asked me to do that. But I had to, with my best foot in mind and my best foot forward, thinking that's what a completionist would do. That's what I think I should do. And there's some episodes where I've gotten everything except one thing, and the audience goes crazy. I completed Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. and I threw myself into the game. I actually had to take a couple weeks off from playing games for a while because I hurt my hands, and I did not do the dev times because the dev times were too difficult. They're physically too difficult for my hands to do. And
I can back you up on that.
Yeah,
I reviewed that game for the site. Yeah,
it's too difficult. I don't have the hand-eye coordination, and the amount of people that told me that I was wrong for not doing it was through the roof. And they're like, you shouldn't call yourself the completions if you can't complete it. And it's like, well, do you want to do it for me? Because my hands don't work, and I have another 100-hour JRPG that you also want me to play. So what do you want, Timmy? Do you want the cool shiny toy, or do you want the Barbie? Tell me what you want, and I'll get it for you, kid. Like it's too hard. It's too hard to find the energy and to focus on what people want. And so it's, you try your best to just do what they think is what they want, and you never know sometimes. And that's the sad truth, is that sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you consider? Sorry to interrupt you, Cameron.
No, go. You're good, man. Go ahead, Mark.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But do you consider? I mean, gaming for many of us is our hobby, it's our passion. But do you consider that also being your job is maybe causing burnout, or like maybe it's a sin? Do you ever think that way about it?
Oh yeah, all the time. And it's hard for me I feel bad because I sound more negative and more angry and old man-y than I intend to come off to. But I think if you saw the schedule that I had on my Google Calendar, you would vomit, because I sleep about 3 hours a day, and I can choose my schedule, of course, but like, given the finances of the business, given how the YouTube system works, given how I have to create the content that I have to create, we create the show in a particular vacuum of kind of similar to South Park, where we make a show in 7 days, and from writing to producing to editing to special effects to filming any sketches or bits, and that prospect, what I just told you, doesn't take into consideration the game that I have to complete first and foremost. So, it takes a lot out of us as a team, which is why most of my time nowadays is spent playing games, because, if the team is stressing out about writing a script or even playing the game for themselves so that they can get a flow of it, I have to get all the footage and still complete it and come up with a creative direction with the writer in mind to kind of pinpoint where we're headed. And Cameron can tell you, like, our writer sessions are no joke. People think that we are a review show, and we are a review show. That's what the Completionist is. But what people don't quite get is that, like, we have what we call, and this is changing in a couple of weeks, just, and I don't mind sharing how it's made. We have theses for several parts of our videos. And these theses aren't just, oh, the game is good. Oh, it makes me feel good because it's nice and I like the music. It's like, how does this game make us feel, and what it's like to complete it because of it? And to like sit there and creatively think of a creative voice is difficult when there's so many other people out there who are making videos like us, who are reporting it on it like us, and we try our best to deliver a very unique product. And I would say, to kind of come full circle on this question, it's not so much that playing games is difficult the way that we do it. It's that I have to do it and make a show at the same time. And making the show, like, if I was just on Twitch, just streaming all the time, the job would be way easier, because all I would be doing is playing games. But the job is the inverse of that. It's, I play the game, record it, and then we create a narrative, and then we come up with jokes and a creative position. And we've been doing it every week for 10 years. A game a week, almost 400. It'll be like 530 games by the time we celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the show. And that's the hardest part. That's what takes out that's what takes the polish and the not polish. That's what takes the joy out of creating the content, because there is an extensive production process behind it that we come up with. And yeah, we can change it, but changing it means someone's livelihood's on the line. You know, that's less writers or less money in someone's pocket. And I'm not in this business to fire people. I'm in this business to hire people. I want to give opportunities and lives and jobs for my friends and family that work as hard as they do, because I want them to succeed in their own way. And they've put me on their shoulders since day one, and they've carried my dead corpse along the way. And the least I can do is continue to do that for them.
It's very nice.
I think, yeah, it's it's been a fun ride.
Cameron's like, oh, this is just Tuesday for me. I know exactly what he's talking about.
No,
I live this.
Oh my god, no! I was gonna bring up something that the editor in chief of the website of Goomba Stomp has said is that, like, because Gerard, you don't know this, but Mark and Campbell and I are the next generation of hosts. Like, this podcast has been going on for over 200 episodes, but we haven't been on it for 200 episodes.
Okay.
We've only been doing it for, like, I don't know, like 15 or so, 10 or 15.
Yeah, I think we're up to episode 16, I believe.
Yeah, but something that Rick has always said is that, like, hey, if you guys want to host the podcast, it's not just you go on and you talk about games, because you also have to have content to talk about. You have to, like, play games. You have to interview people. Like, it's not just you go in and you BS with your friends. It's like, no, there's the work that goes into it too. I'm thinking of how just last week we had the Cyber Shadow video come out, and I remember sitting down with you and being like, all right, let's talk about Cyber Shadow, and you were like, just this like haunted look of your face of, like, you were like, these achievements.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, but again, and this kind of goes back to what you just said, Gerard. It's not just, oh, Cyber Shadow is hard. Do you know what I mean? It's not just, oh wow, these achievements are difficult. It's like, how do we find an interesting way to frame that and make an argument for this game?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting thing that you brought up. That's all.
I'll say that I feel particular when I watched the Cyber Shadow video. I actually wrote the review of the game for the site, and having played the game, I just felt horrible for your mental health, Gerard, having completed, having to accomplish all the feats in that game. That just sounds absolutely brutal. So massive props on that, because it's a grind. Absolutely.
There. I will say there is a bit of a masochist in me. When it comes to playing a game that's not released yet, I get this weird high of, like, I'll be the first person to get the platinum. Like, I'll be the first person ever to do this thing before the world gets to see it at large. And sure enough, like, I'm not always the first person, but I am one of the top. Like, when I remember vividly, I went to a convention, and someone in the audience was really mad at me. They're not a fan of my work, but they're mad at me specifically because I had the world record for Metroid Samus Returns for like a couple of weeks because I had the game before anyone else. And there's a speedrunning component to Samus Returns, and I did it before everyone else. And I didn't claim it was a world record. I wasn't like, I'm the best. But this gentleman was like, don't you think that you're like gatekeeping for speedrunners to be able to do their jobs and stuff? And I was like, no, I just wanted to be the first to do it. I don't beat my world record. I don't care. I'm just trying to do it as quick as I can because that's the job. I got to get a video out come hell or high water. And, and I mean, you guys know the deadlines. You got to hit it.
Yeah.
Like it's
funny that you say this, just to break in really quick, but this was so long ago. This was last year, actually, when Bloodroots came out. I joked on the podcast when I talked about it. I was like, I'm the best Bloodroots player there is because I held the top score on one of the missions. But it was just like a joke because, it was like I had the game a month early. So It was like, obviously I was gonna have it, but that score is long dead after it releases.
Yeah. It's there is this cool, the coolest part about it is like I get to experience it in a bubble. I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. When I got to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was as if I got to enjoy Christmas by myself and like it was as if I got the exact thing I wanted for Christmas, and I was in a room by myself alone with a gigantic TV and the game, and there was nothing more lovely than that, to just not have to worry about what the internet thinks or to worry about the review scores. I just got to experience it in this wonderful little bubble, and to be able to like come up with strategy guides and tips and tricks that were my own, that I didn't have to pull from GameFAQs or anywhere else, that I just organically made, just felt like such a cool feeling that it was one of those are the moments where I was like, oh, that's worth it to me. That's it's like going to a movie premiere, right? I just get to enjoy what, as a viewer, what it's like to do it and to experience it, and I'm really grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the job and for the fans out there. And if you're a fan of mine, I appreciate you giving me my life. It's something that I'm always grateful for, and I'll never forget, despite how old man yelling in a cloud that I am.
I love it. I think maybe one more question. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I was going. Go ahead.
Do you want to end it off, Cameron? I feel like you're gonna,
no, Mark.
choose one of mine, or
no. Okay, can I just say, shout outs to Mark for coming up with a very good list of in-depth and interesting questions to talk about with Gerard. Mark, I think you can choose your favorite one, and let's kind of throw one more Gerard's way.
So I'll do it because it'll be a easy transition for you at the end, Cameron. But so there's an in-development indie game. It's called Beard Blade. And
yes.
I know you've said you're not involved with it or anything.
Yes.
But I do have a question.
Sure.
When are we going to see The Completionist, the video game?
Oh, man. Never. I don't. Well, okay, hold on. To be clear, my friend Bannon Rudis, he's the one of the creative directors at Way Forward. He co-directed River City Girls. He made a Gerard the Completionist video game for my charity event, Indieland. And it was funny because he made it, and the whole time I was like, I never want a video game about myself. That's just so weird. And then he was like, well, I made one for you. Sorry. So there is kind of already one that exists, and it's about completing the game, and everything gives you... it's about like euphorically completing a game, so you get achievements and trophies just for doing small things, and there's a big completion list, and it was pretty cool. And we're going to release the demo to people to play because it was for charity. It was a small little game, but I know that with things like the AVGN video game, people have always asked me, when do we get a completionist game? Wouldn't it be cool, or like what's like, do you have any plans for it? And truth be told, I'm not a game developer or a game designer, and I'd love to make a game, but I just would not. I don't want to make the completionist game. If anything, I'd want to make an original game that might showcase some of my more original properties as a fan of something. It might showcase my acumen of game analysis a bit better. But I wouldn't necessarily want it to be like, you would get a beard, and then like you complete a game, and you get a power up, and that's how you win. Like I would want it to make an original piece at it, if you will. But to go along with Beard Blade, I know those devs really well. They're really nice guys. They're working their tail off to make this game, and the reason why I've like denounced my association to it is because these guys have been working on this game for so long without me being in the picture, and there's this certain flavor of not disappointment, but a certain level of like these guys like made this game. They're making this game, and all the comments ever say is, "Oh my god, it's Gerard the game," and it's like, I'm just a YouTuber. These are game developers, and they're trying their best to just make the thing they want to make. And I've talked with them about supporting them to help them, whether it's to fund the game or to be a part of the creative process, and we might be working towards that soon. But again, it's not that I don't want to be associated with the game. It's that I want to be clear that these developers are working their tails off to make this game beautiful and work well. And I don't want that to be drowned out just because I'm the completionist and I look like the main character from their game.
It looks like a very good game. It looks very good.
I've played it. I've played a few demos of it. It is essentially a combination of Yoshi's Island and Wario Land Shake It. So if you like those
cool.
platformer adventure style type games, it's really cool. It's something special, and I can't wait for everyone to play it. It's gonna be a good time.
I love that. Your commitment to promoting indie games has always been one of my absolute favorite things about I don't know about like you using your platform for good. I think that's very cool. Let's take we're gonna take one more quick break, and then we're gonna come back and kind of wrap this up. So hang on for just a second. We'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you again, Gerard, for the wonderful responses. It's been such a friggin' pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me. I've had a blast so far. It's been really cool. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on here.
We just like you, is all. So we typically wrap up the show talking about we call it the Indie Spotlight, just talking about whatever indie games we've been playing. And I know that you have such a strong connection to the indie scene, Gerard, what with your Indie Land charity, your close relationships with indie devs. I figured I would throw it to you right away if you're comfortable, if there's anything you want to shout out in particular.
Sure, yeah. So there is a game coming out. I don't know if it's like coming out super soon, but it's a game that I've been obsessed with. It's a game called Berserk Boy. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it is it's like a Mega Man Mighty Number 9-esque type platformer. Incredible pixel art, great fluid movement. I played the demo of it at Indie Land. I cannot get enough of this game. I am obsessed. I highly recommend it if you guys can. Follow Berserk Boy on Twitter. They're Berserk Boy Game. Follow them. They do great pixel art. I'm so excited for this freaking game. It's a small indie team putting their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And man, oh man, does it look hype as hell. I highly recommend to go check it out.
I remember watching you play this on I think I might have tuned in right when you had started playing this game. And I just remember you being like, whoa, like this is crazy. Just like with every new ability, with every time you would dash or whatever, it looks insane.
It's nuts. It's a fever dream.
The artwork for this game is amazing.
Yeah, it's next level stuff for sure.
Yeah, I cannot. Yeah, absolutely. I actually follow them right now on my brand new Twitter. This looks I can't wait to play the finished product. Yeah, what a great freaking. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this thing. It's funny. Like, I'm sure you encounter this all the time. Like, you see an indie game, 6 months ago, a year ago, and you're like, oh man, this looks amazing. And then it just, you play other things, time goes on, it kind of fades from your consciousness. But this one is definitely one to keep an eye on for sure.
Hell yeah. Can I say hell? Hell yeah.
You could say hell. You could say hell. You could say it all. Listen,
Hell
this
yeah,
is, PG-13 for sure.
Gotcha.
Campbell, I want to throw it to you because you had mentioned that you wanted to shout out something as well.
Absolutely. So I really love doing indie developer interview articles, and one thing that I'm working on right now that I think is really neat is a game called Floppy Nights, which some of you might have heard of. It's been making the rounds a little bit, but
Sorry, did you say Floppy Nights?
yes, Floppy Nights, and it's not that they're
Floppy Nights like Knights of the Round Table.
to an extent. Now,
Okay.
floppy not as in they're knights who just can't stand up straight or anything. They're floppy discs who then get turned into like warriors or knights or things that you can pawn on like the battlefield, because it's a strategy game, classic turn-based strategy game along the lines of something like Advance Wars, actually. I just think that the mere concept, floppy knights, but floppy disks, it's so charming, and it is it is directed by the artist of Dicey Dungeons, if you guys are familiar with that game.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I know them.
Exactly.
They're such wonderful people.
Yep,
We
exactly.
spent Gerard and I spent a lot of time at the Dicey Dungeons booth of what I guess will be the final E3 of all time.
Ooh, man.
We spent a lot of time hanging out at the Dicey Dungeons booth, so that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, the artist for Dicey Dungeons is now taking the reins and creating her own game, and it has that same beautiful just simple, charming, colorful art style that Dicey Dungeons had. Even maybe a little more colorful, just like kind of youthful, upbeat kind of style. It looks really just straight up charming. It's published by Rose City Games, who are also putting out Garden Story. So it's just
Garden Story looks great.
Exactly. Yeah, we've also did an interview with the developer of that. It's just a really, really wonderful looking game, and Rose City Games is just wonderful because they're like an advocate for wholesome gaming, right? And it's great to see these kind of cozy experiences come out. So I'm working on an article covering Floppy Nights, really excited to see what we learned about that, and it's definitely an indie that I've got on my horizon.
Excellent. Great. So unless there's anything else we want to shout out, I think we can probably wrap it up here. Mark, anything else you want to throw out at the end of the show here?
I do not, because
Yeah,
I honestly
same,
I
yeah.
haven't been reviewing much lately.
Yeah.
Well, I have been reviewing a few things, but I guess I'll shout it out in a few.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, in that case, I guess we're gonna wrap up the show here. Gerard, thank you again for joining us for this mega-sized podcast episode. It's been just a freaking delight. It's just I don't know. You're a good man, Gerard, and we appreciate you and you taking the time and carving out your busy schedule to be on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm real proud of you, Cameron. You're kicking ass and taking names.
Oh, geez. Okay, sorry, I will take the compliment. Thank you very much. Mark, I might ask you to edit my terrible reaction to that, because that was just me turning into a snail. So that being said, I've been your host, Cameron Daxon. You can find me over on Twitter at ActionDaxon with an X. And some of my writing's over at goombastomp.com. Mark, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at the Markel, and that's Mark with the C and Cal with a K. And let's see, I'm on Twitter. I don't know why I went blank. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah, and you can currently read my weekly reviews on WandaVision, which if you're not watching, you should. And I will have some Game Boy Advance related articles coming out, maybe soon. Depends on when we're scheduling it.
I love the intrigue. Campbell, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Campbell S. Gill, uppercase CSG. The initials are extremely important, pretentious as always, and you can also find me on LinkedIn as well at Campbell Gill. Please grow your professional network, especially mine. I need to be more professional, right? And of course, you can find all my games writing on goombastomp.com. Check out my Indie Game Spotlight went up this weekend. Watch out for my interview feature with the creative director of Floppy Nights, and watch out for all the other lovely indie gaming content that we put out on the site.
I love it. Got to get those professional contacts in. And of course, thank you again to Gerard the Completionist. Gerard, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on twitter.com/completionist, twitch.tv/thecompletionist, instagram.com/thecompletionist, and youtube.com/thatonevideogamer, because the completionist was taken. But yeah, I don't really think we got anything crazy going on. We're celebrating 400 games at the beginning of April. We're going to get to game 399 and take a 2 or 3 week break and kind of revitalize our creative juices for the next.
Take a dang vacation, man.
I can't, man. There's too many games to play. We got to keep the vibe train going. We got stuff to do. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to see what 400 looks like, man. It's been a hell of a ride. So yeah, thanks again for Completionist joining us. Gerard, it's been a pleasure. And one quick thing I want to shout out, Goomba Stomp is currently looking for more Nintendo writers. So if you're interested, you have a passion for Nintendo games, you are interested in games journalism, you want to write about video games, you can go to our website, go to our About page, and find out a little bit more about that. All right, so thanks for listening. Episode 220, another one in the can. It's been a great show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you again to Gerard, and everybody stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Here comes a new challenger! Yes!